So Josie, okay, we get it. You love to give us like this long intro. Can you just tell us how to do it? Yeah, I can. But so here are some simple ways to soothe and rebuild your nervous system. And with that, I'm going to take a short water break. One moment. Let me give a brief shout out to Santi. You all might be very familiar with Santi. I've talked about Santi many times, who said to me, Josie, do not ever apologize for having a lot to say. It's a podcast. You're supposed to have a lot to say. So even if there's long intros, it's a podcast. That's why they're tuning in. You are right. So thank you, Santi, for that reminder. Sometimes I forget these things, okay? It's a long story. I will talk more about why I tend to be that way in another show. I'm healing my own nervous system, everyone, but you know that. So there's a few ways that you can heal your nervous system. There's many, but I'm just going to go over a few. Breathe with intention is the first one. And so what you can do is whenever you are exhaling, you're going to exhale with a forced breath. And I typically would not do this right on the microphone, but I'm going to just for as an example. So when you breathe in and you go to breathe out, that's how you do it. Okay. So you're going to really let all of that out. Have you ever seen people do that when they're trying not to get angry or they're trying not to cry? That's because they're trying to heal their own nervous system. All right. So when you would inhale for about 4 seconds. So do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Let those shoulders back. Relax that jaw. Okay. That's what I mean. The next thing, cold or warm water. Girl, what? Yes, cold or warm water. So let's say that, you know what, your boss just pissed you off. What I want you to do is when you go into, I hate public restrooms, so I hate to have to say this, but when when you go into that public restroom, that was the most Virgo thing that I just did there. But you're going to splash some cold water on your face. Or if there's warm water, because you know how these public restrooms are, they never seem to have that. Run your hands under warm water for just a moment. That can activate that vagus nerve in your body and calm you down. Okay? Move your body. Walking, stretching, working out, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And bonus points if you're able to do it to your favorite types of music. Okay, now I am going to have an episode about sound healing in the future. Sound healing is something that I plan to get certified in very soon. So I do want to have an episode on that. It's not going to be a series. It's just going to be by itself. So I don't know if that'll be in August or if it'll be even this season, but it's something I want to discuss further. So I'll just leave it at that. But move that body around. Okay, get up, move around. That alone is helping. Because even if it's just 5 minutes, it helps your body release that tension and reset, okay? Make sounds. Singing, humming, making weird noises. Okay, so shout out to my neurodivergent people who do this. And, you know, you might make weird noises. I've actually been making strange noises since I was a child. And then when I got Hoshi and he sounded like a raccoon squirrel, I loved it so much. I was like, this dog was meant for me. This was my best friend. He gets it. Because he would make the funniest noises and I used to copy them. And I still do. Have you ever been talking to somebody and maybe something's bothering you? And it doesn't mean that they're making you upset. It could be a memory's being triggered. It could be that maybe you're distressed or something about that is reminding you of something else. And you notice that you're putting your hand right where your heart is. That is you instinctively and likely spiritually knowing that you need to protect your nervous system. And guess what? That's that inner child. And a lot of people, when they think of their inner child, they only think of this one version of our inner child, of like our youngest version of our inner child. But it could be the 15-year-old version of yourself. Obviously, I'm talking about my older listeners, you know, and you're remembering something that maybe bothered you at 15. Or you're remembering something that makes you feel nostalgic and you immediately put your hand right there where your heart is. Okay. And so And some people do that with like right where their belly button is. Some people do that. And what that is doing is contact with yourself. And so it's kind of like giving yourself a little bit of a hug. Okay. And some people rub their arm. You'll notice that. And it's similar. Limit stimulation, especially when you're about to go to sleep. Now, I say this as somebody who has pink neon lights. At night, they're actually quite calming to me. But if there's a ton of lights on, I start to feel almost like a little bit anxious because it's giving waiting room. So at a certain point in your day, if you, like many of us have, the different color lights, turn them to a color that is not so harsh. I have this one lamp that I definitely recommend getting. Well, it's the light bulb, I think, not the lamp. And it's one of those light bulbs where you can change the color with an app. And I'm not gatekeeping. I genuinely do not remember because this is not a new purchase. But I'm sure wherever you buy light bulbs from, you can find this exact light bulb. And just look up, because I did order it online. And I no longer support Amazon. That's why I don't want to say Amazon, but I just did. But back when I bought it, I remember looking up, what did I look up? Probably color changing light bulb. So look up something like that. That way you can change the lighting. You don't have to do that. You can also just kind of limit how much light you use. In witches, we light candles. So, have those candles lit. Create a safe cue. And what is a safe cue exactly? Well, I'm going to tell you. You're going to think of a scent or a sound or an object, like maybe a blanket, a scarf, a crystal. And that makes you feel more comforted when you have it around. Maybe it's a bracelet. Maybe it's a necklace. I have my Santa necklace on. If you look at, I haven't posted on TikTok since February, but if you look on TikTok, you will see that I very often wear this one. I actually have more than one version of it. And whenever you feel deregulated, touch it, hold it. Okay. Or light that candle. I'm one of those people who actually likes the smell of pumpkin spice. So that's a comforting smell to me. Maybe you like a different type of scent, more of a tropical scent, etc. Name your feelings without judgment. And what I mean by this is that I want you, even if you're just saying it to yourself, to say it like this, just like we learned in kindergarten. I feel sad. I feel angry. I feel happy. You remember when we were kids and we were taught that? I remember this like vividly. And and we would have to I think it was a little card or something where we had to write this down, or we had to pull a card and it had that emotion on it. I don't know why we stopped doing that as adults, but even if you're only saying it to you, the whole reason for this is checking in with yourself. Okay? It is saying to that nervous system, hey, I'm not ignoring how I'm feeling. I'm not going to suppress how I'm feeling. I'm going to hold space for how I'm feeling instead. Laugh. Personally, like I told you, go on TikTok or YouTube, etc., and whatever social media app you use, because I'm not endorsing either one of them. I'm just saying, as an example, go on there and look up something funny. Or if you, like myself, you really love animals, look up animal videos. Something that's going to make you laugh. There's these creators where they show their animals being super sassy. Those are my favorite. The nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday sound is those videos are oftentimes funny. So you'll know what I'm talking about if you're always on TikTok. But yeah, find something that makes you laugh. Maybe watch old sitcoms that are your favorite, etc. Reality shows, etc. If you can, because I understand there's quite a few introverts. It's probably why you're here. Have a conversation with somebody. Okay? Having a conversation sometimes helps us to stop overthinking. And a lot of you now use AI to do just that. Hey, everybody's busy. I'm just going to talk to AI. Now, I say be careful with that. Okay? I don't want to sound like, I'm judging. I'm just saying just be careful with what you're saying. And I'm going to leave it at that. But yes, when you can have a human connection, that's obviously much better.